You can't love your country only when you win.
President Joe Biden addressing the nation, highlighting the importance of a peaceful transfer of power. This morning, we're talking about what President-elect Donald Trump hopes to do during his first few days in office.
And in the race for control of the House of Representatives, a local key congressional seat has been called. We'll break down that hotly contested race. Plus,
when I said, oh my God, look there, right there, let's go. And we watched as these whales got closer and closer into Penn Cove.
History in the state of Washington. Orcas spotted near Whidbey Island for the first time in more than half a century. The significance of their return coming up as the 6 o'clock hour of sunrise starts right now. Good morning and thanks for joining us on this Friday. I'm Drew Carney.
And I'm China Green. Let's get right over to Chris McGinnis for a look at your weather.
And it's a pretty looking morning out there, guys. I'm probably not able to tell that from a Rose City sky camera, but the sun is providing for a colorful sunrise out there. Already the silhouette of Mountain Hood popping out on our Wells Fargo sky camera. Right now, we are in the 40s. Let's step off camera here real quick. 47 last check at PDX, where the wind has dropped off a bit. The breeze still up in Troutdale. That's why you're 50. Whereas there is no wind in Scappoose and Hillsborough and Tigard, and that's why you folks are waking up to temperatures in the upper 30s this morning. 37 in Salem with some fog. The farther south you go, the more widespread fog becomes in the Willamette Valley this morning. We will be sunny for most of the day today. A good-looking Friday. Temperatures inching into the low 60s again this afternoon. Most of tomorrow is dry. Rain comes in tomorrow night. We'll walk you through that timing in a very wet 7-day in just a few minutes. Let's get you out the door with a live look at the roads, and for that, we go to North Portland right now. Looks like we have some trouble on I-5 at the exit to Interstate Avenue. You see that flashing light off in the distance? It looks like right now the Interstate Avenue exit ramp from I-5 southbound is currently blocked with a crash. We're working to get more details on this, and as soon as we have them, we'll bring them right to you here on Sunrise. Quick check of the trip over near Sunnyside, rolling right along, guys. Otherwise, no major freeway trouble out there just yet. Back to you.
Thank you, Chris. A contentious congressional race in Southwest Washington has now been called by the Oregonian.
Democrat Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez with a narrow win in her rematch with Republican Joe Kent. Thomas Schultz is covering the story for us this morning. Thomas, just like we saw 2 years ago with these two, this race came down to the bitter end.
Yeah, it really did, Drew and China, and there's still votes to be counted, but Democrat Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez has maintained a narrow lead since Election Day in a seat that leans conservative. Here's the latest numbers. Gluesenkamp-Perez leading Kent by around 11,000 votes right now. 2 years ago, when these two squared off, she won by just under 3,000. And this is a key race for control of the House of Representatives. Again, there are still votes left to be counted, and Kent has not yet conceded. Though the Oregonian reports many of those uncounted votes are in Clark County, which is leaning toward Gluesenkamp-Perez. She also received a higher percentage of votes in key counties like Clark, Cowlitz, and Lewis than she did 2 years ago. Throughout her campaign, Gluesenkamp-Perez has tried to localize this race as much as possible, talking about infrastructure, even things like local sewer systems. Kent has tried to nationalize it, focusing on inflation in the southern border. Here's what Gluesenkamp-Perez told us about her campaign on election night.
It is incredibly rare for somebody like me to get to Congress. I don't have a trust fund. I can't raise money off of my phone contacts. I don't have a law degree. But we need that at the legislative table. You don't get good legislation until you have people who are turning wrenches and changing diapers and driving trucks as part of the conversation, not an afterthought.
Thanked voters, calling it a, quote, profound honor and a gift to serve them in Congress. She went on to write, "I will continue to honestly reflect the independence of Southwest Washington and everything I do as our voice in D.C. Our heritage as fiercely independent, loyal fighters for our community is as clear to me as it was the day my family and I decided to ask for the privilege of working for our community." And we reached out to Joe Kent's campaign for a comment, but we have not yet heard back. Drew?
All right, Thomas Schultz with the latest on that race. We know that one is over. This one, though, Thomas, still not. The battle in Oregon's 5th congressional district still too close to call. As of this morning, Democrat Janelle Bynum holds the lead over incumbent Republican Lori Chavez-DeRemer. But again, the big headline here, this race still too close to call.
This morning, we're hearing from Portland's soon-to-be mayor, Keith Wilson. He beat current city commissioner Carmen Rubio, Renee Gonzalez, and Mingus Mapps. Yesterday, Wilson spoke at a North Portland Community Center where he spent much of his childhood. Wilson acknowledged being a political newcomer and touched on his plans to address homelessness and public safety.
What does real change for Portland mean? In my administration, it will mean treating the crisis on our streets like a crisis. It will mean returning our city to the promise of the city that works.
Wilson says he reached out to Governor Tina Kotek and Mayor Ted Wheeler asking for their guidance during the transition. He says he also spoke with Multnomah County Chair Jessica Vega Peterson, a relationship he says will be critical. President Biden highlighted the importance of the peaceful transfer of power during his address to the country yesterday.
I spoke with President-elect Trump to congratulate him on his victory, and I assured him that I would direct my entire administration to work with his team to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition. That's what the American people deserve.
President-elect Trump will take office in January with Republican-controlled Senate.
The president-elect already making decisions. Yesterday, he named his chief of staff. It's his co-campaign chief, Susie Wiles. Wiles making history, becoming the first female chief of staff in U.S. history. 2 days after that sweeping victory over Vice President Kamala Harris, the soon-to-be 47th president talked one-on-one with NBC's Kristen Welker.
The president-elect talking about his priorities for the next 4 years, including strengthening the border, saying, quote, voters agreed with him. They did not want murderers. They didn't want drug lords. They didn't want gang members coming in. Our Ashley Graham joins us now with a closer look at how local groups are responding to this. Good morning, Ashley.
Drew, China, good morning. Let's start with the law here in Oregon. Oregon is a sanctuary state and has been since the 1980s. Immigration law is largely administered by federal agencies, but state laws drive immigration enforcement. That's according to the Immigrant Legal Resource Center. The nonprofit created this map showing how each state fares. Only Oregon and Illinois have comprehensive state laws restricting transfers of people to the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, though these current protections haven't stopped some local groups from preparing for the Trump administration's deportation policies.
We're organizing, we're strategizing, and we're mobilizing. We will be ready. If we have to have 1,000 people living here, we will do that.
And while Trump has talked repeatedly about strengthening the border, he did tell NBC News he still wants people to immigrate as long as they do so legally. China?
Ashley Grahams, thank you. And now to some weather headlines before we get to Chris. The mountain fire in California has already burned more than 20,000 acres and is 5% contained since it sparked just 2 days ago. The brush fire, which began northwest of Los Angeles, has been rapidly growing after it jumped more than 14,000 acres in less than 24 hours. Several homes have already been burned and evacuations expanded yesterday. According to CAL FIRE, more than 1 million acres have burned in wildfires this year.
We're also getting a look at some of the damage left behind by Hurricane Rafael as it swept through Cuba this week. It made landfall on Wednesday as a Category 3 storm, leaving millions there without power. Forecasters say the storm will continue to weaken as it heads over the Gulf of Mexico. All right, back to our local forecast now. Chris McGinnis, what's happening there, Chris?
Well, I promised you a nice sunrise, so how about this? I'll get it out of the way so you can get a nice look at that. That is the live look from our Wells Fargo sky camera pointed east towards Mount Hood. Of course, sunrise still a good nearly an hour away, but that's going to be a pretty one here, and we've got the time lapse rolling on that, and that will look great for the noon newscast. All right, 47 last check at PDX. Elsewhere across the region, though, it really depends on if you have a breeze or not. We have, in some situations, the east breeze, and that's why Troutdale is sitting at 50. Meanwhile, no east breeze out towards Hillsborough, 37 for you folks, right? So that's the temperature range across the region. Temperatures east of the Cascades in the 20s this morning. Let me take you up to the mountain right now. Obviously, a pretty pre-sunrise shot here with the top of Mount Hood capturing some of those oranges and pinks there right on the tippy top of the mountain. It's warmer at Timberline than it is in a lot of the Willamette Valley right now. And what that is a temperature inversion, right? Typically the air gets colder as you go up in the atmosphere, but in this case, it's warmer this morning. And so what that does is put a lid on things, a lid on the pollutants and whatnot. A temperature inversion this time of the year can set the stage for poor air quality. And that's what we're seeing across the region right now. Up and down the I-5 corridor, moderate or in some cases air that is unhealthy for sensitive groups. This will likely be with us throughout the day today and probably into tomorrow until the weather pattern changes and stirs things up a bit. Temperature-wise, though, quite comfortable. Upper 50s to low 60s for highs today. The weekend, increasing clouds with rain developing, though, later in the day tomorrow. I've got us at 60 on Saturday. Occasional rain Sunday, and then it gets really wet Sunday night and into Monday, and you'll see that here reflected on Futurecast. Again, today's dry. Wet weather comes in late in the day tomorrow. Mostly an overnight event tomorrow, maybe a few drips of rain on Sunday, and then a big system comes in Sunday night. And from then on, the 7-day forecast is wet. Really, really wet. Potentially 2 inches of rain in the 7-day forecast, maybe more for some of us as we head into that time frame.